The NBA year after year really has begun to feel like a bit of a soap opera at times, as it's the one sports league arguably more narrative-driven than any others out there. With the trade deadline quickly approaching, these storylines and rumors are about to result in a ton of real action, and we've already seen a ton of real action, with the first move of the occasion having gone down yesterday between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Portland Trail Blazers. The era of Blazers basketball led by Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum is officially over, as CJ is being shipped off to New Orleans, and obviously in this video, we're going to be going over all of that along with a few other things. However, while there are a ton of surface level details to point out and discuss from this deal, there's also a huge implication that goes much deeper into the Pelicans' future that now comes as a result of it regarding Zion Williamson and his future with the organization. So in this video today, I'll be going over the good and bad of the trade, focusing mostly on the Pelicans' point of view, how this impacts the direction they're heading for the rest of the season and beyond, and why this deal is basically the Pelicans' front office telling Zion Williamson that he has a big decision to make. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. PrizePicks is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of individual player props, such as points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made, and others, and you simply have to choose whether you believe the player will record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your selections, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win some big money. For some picks I'm looking at making for tonight's slate of games, I'm thinking of going with Jarrett Allen to score over 14.5 points, Jakob Poeltl to grab over 8.5 rebounds, and Karl Anthony Towns to make over 1.5 threes. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go use the link down in the description of the video to sign up today, and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The Pelicans have been trying to build a core capable of legitimately competing in the Western Conference for a few years now, but along the way they've had more than their fair share of speed bumps and hurdles to climb. This new era began when Zion Williamson was drafted first overall in 2019 to kickstart their new era post-Anthony Davis. That first season, the team finished 13th place in the Western Conference, then last year they finished in 11th place in the Western Conference, just one spot shy of making the play-in tournament, so this past summer they had a goal to push themselves over that hump to get into playoff contention. However, despite having lofty aspirations this offseason, they basically struck out as hard as they could. Several reports at the time stated that their intentions were to target one of the bigger named guards available on the market in hopes of upgrading from Lonzo Ball, and Kyle Lowry was the player that they wanted the most, but Lowry's sights were set on Miami, so the Pelicans agreeing to sign and trade sending Lonzo Ball to Chicago quickly turned out to be a move that backfired when the best they could do to replace him was acquiring Devontae Graham. Turns out, having all your eggs in one basket is a recipe for disaster. Things then went from bad to worse when the season began, and they started off winning just one of their first 13 games this year. At that point in the season, things were more grim than ever for the franchise. The face of their team, Zion Williamson, was still working his way back from an injury, and it seemed as though the season was lost before it could even begin. That, however, is where a turning point was sparked. Since that horrific start to the year, the team has actually had a .500 record, winning 20 games and losing 20 games since, which still isn't anything amazing, but it has taken them from last place in the West all the way up to 10th. As you all know, the NBA implemented that new play-in tournament a few seasons ago, where teams ranked 7th to 10th in the conference play a mini-tournament to get to the last two playoff spots, meaning that the Pelicans are all of a sudden fully back in the playoff hunt in that spot. This resurgence is exactly why the Pelicans got so aggressive yesterday, making the trade that they did, because they need to prove that they can win at a meaningful level to appease Zion Williamson. Now, to get into the real meat of the discussion, the trade that went down was a resounding success for the Pelicans. The full details of the deal see the Pelicans acquire CJ McCollum to headline things, but then they also brought in Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell, and then what they gave up included Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Tomas Satoransky, Didi Louzada, a first-round pick, and some second-rounders. As a team that ranks 25th in the league offensively and tends to have to rely too heavily on Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas to carry the load, CJ McCollum is going to do wonders for them as another capable scoring threat and shot creator. Sure, McCollum isn't quite as good as he used to be, but he's still a 20-point scorer and someone who is capable of taking and making a high volume of threes while making them efficiently, shooting at least 38% from deep now for a third season in a row, while taking 8 of them per game. As I said before, the Pelicans were already trending in the right direction, and now they're getting another huge boost offensively for the final stretch of the year, so now the only thing they need to worry about is none other than Zion Williamson. I made a video chronicling the Zion saga earlier on in the season, discussing all of the problems that were there between him and the organization, so if you haven't seen that and want a more in-depth discussion about all of it, then go watch that after you watch this. But basically, Zion Williamson has grown pretty disgruntled with the way that he's been handled by the organization, dating all the way back to how they treated his injuries when he was a rookie. His relationship with David Griffin in the front office is also not the best, and his commitment to the franchise can now definitely be called into question based on how this year has gone down. At the start of the season, Williamson was recovering from a foot injury, and the target return date set for him was November 26th, missing maybe the first month of play. The issue, though, is that Zion's rehab had not been going according to plan. We're now in February, and Zion is not even remotely close to getting back on the court to play, and his inability to stay in shape is definitely a big reason why, no matter how you try to spin it. Keep in mind that this is a player that came into the NBA as the second heaviest player in the league when he was a rookie, and from what we've seen of him lately, he has gotten even bigger since then, which just is not a good thing to be dealing with. You're allowed to be frustrated with the organization without hampering your own career by letting yourself get out of shape, and now that the organization is actually making aggressive moves with the playoffs in mind, Williamson is going to have to make a decision. Unless he goes to the extreme, demanding a trade and holding out like Ben Simmons is doing right now, then he's going to be in New Orleans for the foreseeable future, because of restricted free agency and they can retain him, so he might as well settle in, especially with the team actually making some good moves now. A lineup of Devonte Graham, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valanciunas is actually pretty formidable, at least on paper, and to be completely honest, I doubt any of the higher-seeded teams would want to be stuck playing that team round 1. There's much more offensive firepower there now, and after a season playing with Steven Adams last year when he was clogging the paint, Zion's game could be unlocked even further with Valanciunas, who can also bang inside with the best of them, while also being able to space the floor with a respectable jumper. And keep in mind that Zion had the most points in the paint last year since Shaq, so really it all comes down to if he buys in, because if he doesn't and he allows this injury that he should have already recovered from to hold him out for the entire season, along with the fitness issues that are hampering him, then it was all for nothing. The future could be bright, but it comes down to if Zion Williamson wants it to be. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think this means for the Pelicans moving forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.